Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to play some more CafeDrop. Today we're going to do Chapter 2. It's an Undertale dating sim. If you haven't heard of it already, let's begin. Chapter 2. Event day finally arrived. With all the desserts we had to prep, getting everything safely to the venue was going to be a real challenge. We pulled it off just in time, but I was stuck in the kitchen all day long helping the team. Next time, I'll definitely get to the cafe way earlier. The event was set for 4 p.m. I was doing the final check around the cafe when Dust walked in looking pretty pissed off. Guess what? Someone just bailed on us. What? Tell me you're joking. Do I look like I'm joking? Great, now what? What about all the applications? The admin team has been interviewing for new hires all week. With events this size becoming regular, we obviously need more staff. We couldn't just abandon the cafe whenever we had a catering gig. Can't exactly call people up and say, hey, wanna work today? Are you sure about that? Because pretty sure my job does that. Don't finish interviews until next week, at the earliest. Well, I'm fresh out of ideas then. Dust lets out what sounded more like a growl than a sigh, while I rubbed my chin thinking, this was a mess. We really should have been seeing something like this coming. It always happens. Maybe my partner and I could handle it otherwise. Maybe my partner and I could handle it ourselves, but that was wishful thinking. Even with my determination, there's no way we can manage everything. If only we had someone else we could rely on. Dust must have read my mind, because he immediately gave me the deadliest stare I've ever seen. Don't even think about it. Don't dare say what I'm thinking you're going to say. You're really not going to like this. I need you to come help me out there. Heck no. I didn't sign up to be your driver or some waiter. I know that, but you know how important this event is. I'm not going. Encourage him. Hey, Dust. Look, I get that you don't like it like this. Just like new employees wouldn't want to be called out of the blue. We don't like these last-minute changes either. But this is an emergency. We all worked our butts off, and you have to. I need you. I need you for this. How ridiculous. Fine, I'll do it. Won't suck to lose this partnership. Would suck to lose this partnership, because some idiot bailed. Hey, show some respect. Maybe they couldn't handle the pressure. But thanks for helping out. Yeah, whatever. Dust went to grab his stuff before we left. He's probably head straight home after the event. And we'll do that too. Just go home, crash on my bed, and sleep for 2 days straight. But here we were. Breathe, Cross. You got this. On the way to the event venue, I managed to give Dust a quick rundown of what we would be doing that afternoon. He didn't seem to be paying much attention, but I knew he was listening. We had to handle part of the decorating, but luckily the venue provided all the supplies. We set up the appetizers and in requested order, getting everything perfect, right on schedule. The main lights dimmed and background music started playing. My colleagues and I stayed in a secluded area, waiting for the guests to arrive. Dust grabbed a bar stool, dragging it over to where we were waiting, and sat down with his arms crossed. I've been to big events, but for corporate stuff, this is overkill. You think? Christ, this has so many guests as a This has as many guests as a wedding. I had one that was a little bit more than a wedding for corporate stuff. Be glad you're staying at the drink station. You don't have to ditch that coat. Show some respect for my coat. You got some weird grudge against it. I never understood your obsession with wearing it. This'll be a good time to light up a smoke and tell you that you wouldn't get. Your pop culture references won't get you out of work. While we wait for the event to start, Killer came through the staff door. Hey, how's it going? You guys ever done anything like this before? Big before? Not for corporate stuff anyway. Yeah, we're just talking about that. I was surprised at first too, but it's just companies doing corporate stuff. That doesn't tell me much. There's ceremonies and gala dinners between multiple companies. Just one big company. Like Christmas party. On that stage, you see, they usually put the boss or company presenters to say a few words, and sometimes it goes on for an hour or two. Whatever people can eat during it depends on whoever's paying for the service. Yeah, that's a ceremony. After the speeches, guests are free to eat and mingle. At least that's what I understand from the literary Nightmare gave me. And what do you do at these things? I'm the host, obviously. Every half an hour I interrupt to get people's attention because there's speeches in between. At least for this event. You guys don't need to worry about what they're saying. Confidentiality is in the contract anyway. So don't talk about Fight Club. Alright, I'll leave you guys to it. It's about to start and I need to be on stage. Good luck. I hope this goes by fast. I don't think it will go by fast. People like to talk. I want to go for a smoke. Corporate people, I mean. Hold it. The main door's open and the guests start filing out in. Leading them with Nightmare alongside another man who assumed was the head of another company. I started getting nervous. That was a lot of people, and only 3 pairs of hands. If all these guests were going to be this big, if all the events were going to be this big, we really ought to need more stuff. I was grateful Dust agreed to help, or I wouldn't know what we would have done. And that was how our afternoon began. Killer was on stage and was the first one to speak into the microphone. He gave a brief introduction before handing things over to Nightmare, who delivered a pretty impressive speech. Even though I didn't understand the topics he covered, he seemed like he was part of the company that hired him. It was like he belonged with them, as if he knew every guest's face, and they all knew him for years. They probably used the venue for a long time. Even got a thunderous applause. I say he's even upstaged the actual company head, who only spent about a minute at the mic before welcoming us to the buffet. Wow, even I felt like part of the company. Quit talking to yourself and start serving the guest. All right. I head out to offer appetizers throughout the hall. They were easily thirsty people. Maybe more. 30 people, even more. I'm like, thirsty. To me, it felt like at least 100. I've had far more means than 30 people. My trays were getting emptied pretty quickly. I had to keep rushing back to the staff room to get more stuff. I could see dust in the distance, moving just as quickly. He had even pulled his hood down. He was actually taking this seriously. After 20 minutes, the guests' initial hunger had died down. All that remained was the murmur of their conversations. I could finally take a break. I had the tray against my chest, looking around the venue. Amongst the crowd, I spotted Nightmare off to the side. He's been talking to other people just a moment ago, so this was the first time I seen him free. Should I go congratulate him on the speech? Congratulate him. Never hurts to say hello. I walk over slowly until Nightmare notices me. He doesn't seem to mind me coming over. He turned away from some people who were approaching him, making himself available. He looked the same as always, professional. Hey, that speech was incredible. It's nothing special. I'm used to it. I definitely couldn't get up on that stage and deliver a speech like that. A stutter. You look like you were the head of their company. Or do you actually know them? Don't know them all at all. They gave me a speech outline and info about the ceremony. Then I delivered it in my own words. Great work. Thanks. Though I should praise your efforts too. I've seen you and your team work very efficiently. We've been doing this for years. We'll handle ourselves pretty well, don't we? Though I didn't remember anything about Dust being here. He's from HR, right? He sounds displeased to hear the news. Oh, that was kind of a last minute. A coworker quit today. I thought they just didn't come in. So I had to ask him to give us a hand. Good thing you were able to work out. Though, I wouldn't recommend sharing those details with anyone else. Trust me, if you told the head of that company about this, he'd be very upset. Really? Sorry, I'd probably get too comfortable too fast. Was pretty sure they probably go on a rant about it instead, not about us, but people quitting. Sorry, I probably get too comfortable too fast. Don't share your weakness either. I'm pretty complicated, huh? He sighs, resigned, like someone who survived that war. The corporate world can be a real headache. You can rest easy knowing they're enjoying it. I haven't heard any complaints about the food so far. I'm glad to hear that. You know there'll be one person. There'll be always one. That might only be 30 guests, but they ate like 1,000. Knight raises the corner of his lips, and mirrored the gesture. Toast. I held up a hand for him to wait, then stepped away to grab 2 glasses of juice. I came back quickly, with precision that came from years of carrying multiple orders at once. Don't know if you like this flavor, but how about toast? Nightmare took a second to react. His smile didn't disappear, but became more mischievous. It might have been the one who caught his satisfied expression. He nodded. Sure. To a successful afternoon. Nightmare took one of the glasses and we made the toast, the glass clicking together gently. I take a sip and Nightmare excuses himself shortly after. He had to get back to work, just like me. A few minutes later, the microphone cracked, calling the guest's attention. It was Killer, who was standing in the middle of the stage. He started talking about antidotes that the guests had written down on the paper beforehand, as a way to lighten the mood. In Between, he threw his own stories and jokes away to what was written on the papers. His humor at times sharp, even a bit sarcastic. He created an improvised sketch using the topics mentioned, walking that fine line between mockery and comedy. He got mixed reactions from the guests, including laughter. And I was part of the laughter. I found that way of humor pretty entertaining. It was definitely a skill that could make most people laugh. Or at least that's how it seemed to me. As I walked around the hall to restock supplies, I could see the smiles on the guests' faces. I had to congratulate him. He had done such a good job. The sketch only lasted a few minutes. Then another important person from the company took the stage to give their speech. I noticed Killer had gone into the staff room, so I took the opportunity to head over there since I needed to talk to him. Oh, hi, Cross. Hey, Killer. Amazing act. I could barely keep from laughing. Glad you liked the show. Most of it's just improv. Though I saw some guys making faces while I was talking. Really? Well, not everyone has the same sense of humor. That's what makes it a challenge. The fewer complaints I get, the less trouble I'll be in. Trouble? It's not that serious. But I almost always get at least one complaint. Yes, there's always one. Doesn't that put your job at risk? In life, you gotta take risk. And if the boss hasn't fired me yet, it's 'cause I'm not doing it wrong. Don't you think? I guess that's true. I liked your act. So you're not doing it wrong. That's all I need to hear. Offer cake. During our conversation, I restocked some of the appetizer trays. Oh, well, we're here, Killer. You want some cake? I noticed this one's going fast, and you might not get a chance to try it. You really gonna give me some? Go ahead. I picked up a piece of cake with a fork and held it out for Killer to take a bite of the dessert. However, I didn't expect him to lean in and eat the bite straight from my hand. Hey! This is good. No wonder it's the first thing to go. Thanks a lot. Killer walked out the door, leaving me stunned. That was unexpected. It actually was. Little by little, Killer's personality was coming out around me. I let it go and went back to work. I walked through the room back to the refreshment area where Dusk was. However, I was surprised to see Dusk talking with one of the guests. Actually, it didn't look like a friendly conversation. It's amazing to see you like this. Like a waiter. Oh, this heaved. What do you have to do? What do you have to do to end up here, huh? Uh-oh. Get out of my sight. You're interrupting my work. Your work, right. It's way important that you stay in your place, quiet without causing trouble. Following learning that lesson, I don't care what you say. Can you just grab your drink and get lost? Better yet, get completely out of here. The stranger had a cracked skull, and once for the first time I seen a skeleton with that kind of damage. Sometimes our kind get bone damage from traumatic events. It's normal to see someone like that. But something about this guy gave me the chills. Even so, I couldn't leave Dusk like this. Knowing his short temper, he might blow up at this guy's words. I'll interfere. Sir, I need to ask you not to bar the staff. That was all I could manage to say. The stranger turned around. You can call me whore. I was just having a chat with an old acquaintance. I thought judging by the uniform, you two must know each other. That's right. Please continue enjoying yourself at the event. Alright. Why don't you show me where there are more raspberry cakes? They're quite delicious. Of course. Dust didn't say anything during the whole exchange, but kept staring at me as I led her away. I give him a thumbs up behind my back, hoping he'll get the message. Thanks for showing me the way. His words might be polite, but his tone was much more bitter. Not a good combination. It's nothing, actually. I don't think there's any raspberry cakes left on the table. But if you give me a moment, I could check in the kitchen. That won't be necessary. I know you wanted to get me away from Dust. I just played along. Oh. I'd like to talk to you. What's your name? Cross. A pleasure. Did your company provide bartending services? No, we're a cafe that provides dessert catering services. If you're interested in events, I could get you a business card. No, that won't be necessary. He stayed quiet for a moment. Now I couldn't find a way to slip away. Things aren't like you think they are. That man is no saint. I figured he was talking about Dust. He used to work at the same place I did, but he did awful things that cost me my job and ruined my entire life. I know Dust isn't exactly a model citizen, but to the extent Hoarder was claiming, I don't know anything about that. Of course not. He won't tell you that about his faults. Want to hear the story? What should I do? I'm gonna listen. I knew it wasn't the best idea to sit there listening to a story that didn't concern me from a complete stranger, but I always been curious about Dust's life. I didn't know anything about beyond his hours at the cafe, and barely talked during our shifts anyway. Was it too much to ask to know just a little more? My lack of response made him, a much taller, intimate man, let out a loud, chilling laugh. I could see you're intrigued. I'll tell you. Horror moved a little closer to me. I kept myself rigged. A few years ago, I worked at another company, and my closest colleague was Dust. Actually, he's the closest I ever came to calling someone a friend, to more than just a colleague. We were both climbing the corporate ladder. In less than 2 years, we already had prominent positions. War took a used glass that only had a thin trace of drink left at the bottom. He gently swirled the glass, making the tiny amount of liquid swash around. I became memorized by the swirling motion of that liquid, however. War continued with more serious tone of voice. He extended the glass towards me. I took it without thinking. I got promoted before he did. Dust was outraged about it and started spreading rumors about me. He falsified evidence, did everything he could, and he succeeded. Okay, what were you working at? I lost my job, I lost everything I worked so hard to build. That statement was harsh enough to startle me. Dust did all that just out jealousy? I had to take this with a grain of salt. I couldn't find the words. Nothing came out of my mouth to tell the truth. Whether the story was fake or not, this guy's tone was terrifying me. Was it because of his cracked skull? It was a single eye socket where a bright red pupil glowed. His presence didn't let me react properly. Hard to believe, I know. I'll leave you to think about my story, so it doesn't happen to you the moment you start advancing at that cafe of yours. Dust won't be happy at all. He'll look for ways to destroy your dreams. Believe him? I shake my head. No, I shouldn't believe him. Something about him made me feel strange. The fact that he shared a past with Dust, where Dust was the villain, should infect me. If I had any doubts, I should talk to Dust. I think that's enough for now. You should get back to work. What did you say your name was? Cross. Helping me again. Don't forget what I told you. He could stab you in the back at any moment. And he left. I also turned around and hurried to the other side of the hall. I was scared, but I had to continue with the work. Hopefully, we wouldn't run into each other again. I just hoped he wouldn't run into Dust Eater. About an hour of intense work passed. My mind kept wandering back to the conversation before. No matter how bold his words were, it had been shocking to hear that my coworker had such a dark history. And worst part, I wasn't sure if I should ask him about it. The whole time I saw Dust looking pretty tense. He couldn't look at anyone, and he even put his hood up. He drew several stares. I couldn't blame him. I could tell his reunion with horror hadn't done him any good. Only a few minutes were left for the event to end, and there was no more incidents. I swear horror looks like he's from a mafia. The final words were given and several guests had already left. Anyway, there was no more appetizers left, just abandoned crumbs on the dessert tables. As I prepared to start cleaning up, I saw Dust, sitting on the bar stool he'd claimed since the beginning of the event. His shoulders were hunched, hiding almost his entire head in his hood. In this light, I could barely make out his face from the shadows. I think it's best to go with him. I want answers. Go with him. I approached him. I grabbed one of the chairs the guests had been using, covered with a white tablecloth, and dragged it over to sit in front of Dust. I sat backwards on the chair with a backrest against my chest. Since my seat was lower than his, I had to look up at him. Hey, finance guy. I got his attention with a nickname. I didn't usually use it in front of him, but it was a common nickname amongst the coworkers. What did you want? How was your experience as a waiter? Horrible. I need a smoke. Go through the whole pack. Oh, come on. You barely even moved. You were just serving juice and regular coffee the whole time. Standing still makes me want to rot my lungs even worse. And to remind you, I'm also serving sweets. Only got to stand still at the end. Stick to your own thing, pastry boy. He shifted, showing his face better, but he was still somewhat hidden behind his shoulders. I sighed, trying not to get angry. Did you at least try anything? Nah. What's the point? Maybe something sweet would distract from your smoking cravings. Wait, no, that'll be alcohol. I think. I'll get diabetes faster. Then I get bone cancer from smoking. I mean, you're all skin and bone, so you get bone cancer. Probably a lot. You'll be like your skin cancer. Smoking healthier in comparison. At least try to relax. Well, you really are messed up. You're easily distracted. Oh, I don't think I didn't see it fluttering around behind those agency guys. I saw even at work, or even I worked more than you did. Even then, you can't beat me in productivity. Though it's true, I got a bit distracted. Yeah, we did. Toast with nightmare. Beating killer with our hands, and then trying to pull horror away from you. At least everything worked out. It will once I get my smoke break. I'm gonna get some air. You may pollute yourself. Dust rolled his eyes and got up from the chair. Throughout the whole conversation, I kept my chin resting on the backrest. I had to stretch to strain out my spine and get back to what I was doing. No customers were left. The lights came on, and the whole room lit up with a bright glow. After collecting the last of the cafe equipment, Killer appeared, clapping his hands to get everyone's attention. Hey, this turned out incredible. Are you ready to celebrate? Celebrate? That's right. I completely forgot about that. If everything went well, the team was going to eat at a restaurant to celebrate. I like that idea, so I didn't refuse to go. I like that we were included too, even though we were part of this catering service. Unlike the clean crew, who Nightmare was meeting with at the back of the room, they were also from the outside company that participated in the bidding. Dust, who had been checking his phone at the time, looked up. I'll pass. Don't be like that, buddy. This place ain't expensive, if you worry about that. I don't care about that. Cross is the broke one here. Was that a free attack for? What was that free attack for? There's also a smoking area. I thought he might win him over with that. Actually, our company will be covering this. It's exceeded our standard requirements enough to consider the event a success. Killer raised the eyebrows and seemed to bounce without his feet wave in the ground, thrilled by the wonderful news. Really? We haven't pulled that off in ages. Night appeared almost out of nowhere. He went normal, but I sensed his tone was slightly more cheerful. That victorious atmosphere meant our cafe was also coming out as a winner. That's great. It is. What do you think, Dust? You gonna come now that it's free food? Dust looked cornered by his persistence. I backed up Killer by looking at him, too. If he turned this down, it would really kill the mood. Can't say no to that. So the weakness is free food. It's everyone's free weakness. Ain't yours? I think everyone got that weakness. Killer's right. Yeah, don't you think, boss? Depends on who's offering that free meal. I wouldn't be picky about either the person or the food. Probably depends. Depends on the person and how they prepare the food. I risk asking how many problems you got yourself into because of that. If I need a few minutes to change clothes, it wouldn't be ideal to go out like this. And I sweated way more than I like. How did you do that without skin? Sure thing. Let's all meet up at the exit in a few minutes. You don't have the skin glands. Or probably don't have the stuff to make you smell. Or sweat. I'll head out first then. I need to supervise the cleanup. I didn't even get to say how many minutes. He's the boss. I'm going to. See ya in 10. 10 minutes? 10 seconds? 10 hours? Are you gonna change? Nah, I don't sweat as much as Cross. I heard that. Then let's chat outside. I think that suits you better, right? Now you're getting it. We headed to the restaurant, which was a spacious place. Several people joined us, many part of the event agency team that worked behind the scenes. Plus, us three from the cafe. In total, we were 8 people. Despite that, I didn't feel uncomfortable. The guys were including us, especially Killer, and you could tell his stage skills also showed in social settings. Dust had stayed quiet most of the time, eating from his plate. Nightmare was also silent. In the end, those two had some roadies, being reserved. Taylor suddenly got everyone's attention by standing up. He turned towards the group and me, making it clear he was speaking directly at us. My colleagues and I are used to seeing different faces every time we do events. And that's actually bummed us out because we never actually get to know the team. When we found out about the bidding, we got excited and nervous. We couldn't have expected anything. But we can say our boss chose well. He did an impeccable job. This afternoon, we never ran out of food or drinks. Nobody complained about the quality, and they even complimented the boss on the good work. So I propose a toast, hoping the competition ends with you guys becoming part of the day-to-day as an event agency. That is, if you want the same thing. Given my future position as event coordinator, I felt obligated to be the one to respond to my colleagues. Pride swelled through me from receiving the praise. Despite all the sacrifice, everything had gone well. I looked at my colleagues, knowing they agreed. We hope to keep working with you all. It was a great experience. Cheers. We all toasted. A brief moment passed, and I was already finishing my meal. My feet throbbed from being on the move for hours without a break. Once I got home, I was going to collapse into bed. Once I get home, I was going to collapse into the bed and rest completely. I deserved it. Cross. Suddenly I hear my name being called. I look up to find Nightmare staring at me. It was probably the first time he's spoken during the whole gathering. It must have been something important he wanted to tell me. I can't help being curious. Were you wearing that necklace during the event? I looked at what he was referring to, my necklace with the heart pendant the size of a strawberry. It was big, but flat and not lightweight. It usually didn't bother me to wear it. No, I put it on after work. You do that pretty much every day. Is that pretty much every day? Caleb jumped into the conversation easily. He was always paying attention so he could stick his nose into every chat. Yeah? So you only wear it like 4 hours a day? Yeah. That's unnecessary waste of energy, in my opinion. I thought I understood being fascinated with accessory. See my brooch? It's one of a kind. I like to always have it on with all my outfits. One day he forgot to put it on his work coat, and he went crazy. So crazy he almost ditched an event because he thought his pen was lost in the meeting room. Yeah, they almost fired me. The person I least expected to pay attention got to the conversation and laughed at the statement. But how can you be obsessed with such a simple accessory? I wasn't the only one who stared at him. You're kidding, right? You also got an accessory. They couldn't pry off you with a crowbar. A.k.a. his hoodie. It's a clothing, not an accessory. But you use it like an accessory. Wow. While we're at it, out of all his accessions, that's the worst and least discreet one. Dust shrugged. Now, I got someone to complete with to see which one of us give you more trouble with our accessory and clubbing sessions. No, please. It was obvious Dust would win because of how indiscreet and informal he looked. At least Killer's accessory was a brooch that actually gave him personality. Though now that I thought about it... Nightmare? Don't you have accessory? Like a tie? Or clothing? They're attached to, right? No. I don't wear much variety of clothing either. I wash it frequently. That's where we get into another type of session. Not clothes or accessories, but sweets. I remember one day he was eating a strawberry cake and let out a squawk. The whole team got scared by his compliment. Turns out he got a cavity. The whole team got scared by his complaint. Turns out he got a cavity. A cavity? Killer started laughing. The team did too. This must have been pretty uncomfortable to tease their boss like that. If I had to choose between the brooch, the sweets, and the hood, which accession would I keep? I'm gonna go with the dessert accession. Because I want to go with Nightmare. I wasn't thinking. It wasn't much of a mystery that I leaned towards S1. There was a reason I'm a pastry chef. I like sweets. I love chocolate. Though my passion was more about creating sweets, Nightmare was eating them. A perfect match. We were lucky he's passionate and likes what we do. We'll take this contract as our prize. Speaking of sessions, I'm gonna go smoke. Kaor, where do you say the smoke room is? Over there. Way in the back. Kaor pointed the way with his hand. Dust stood up and left. From what I could see, it was some kind of Terrence. That's when what had happened with horror crossed my mind. I knew Dust had been shaken up for most of the event because of the counter. I didn't think he'd gone over it that quickly. And all this time, I'd gone so well with Dust. We spent our time arguing, or just acting like we didn't care about each other's existence. But I shouldn't underestimate him. He's important to the team. I'd like to know if Dust is okay. Lately, I had to interact with him more. I approached the balcony. Unfortunately, Dusk was alone. From inside the restaurant, it still seemed bright, but the sky was completely dark. The warm lights from outside blended into the bluish tones of the night. He was in the corner, to no one's surprise, smoking. What are you doing hiding back there? Dust took a puff before looking at me. Smoking, obviously. No, it's obvious you're smoking. I mean, tucked away back there. Just because. I should be asking what you're doing here. Far as I know, you don't smoke. I didn't come here to smoke. I actually came to see how you're doing. Dust went quiet for a moment. This was my chance to get closer. I walked over to him, leaning against the railing, looking towards the horizon, just like Dusk. Dust sighed, understanding I wouldn't leave until he told me at least something. Terrible. That butthole ruined what's left of my day. It was clear he was talking about horror. That skeleton in a suit with a cracked skull. Remembering him and him gave me chills. I couldn't imagine what Dusk must have been feeling. You two know each other, right? Yeah, he told you things, right? Yeah. Doesn't matter. That idiot knows how to intimidate people, mainly because of how he looks. He told me things about you, about the old company where you worked together. The smile vanished instantly. He put out his finished cigarette and lit another one immediately. That was several years ago. Whatever he told you, I just did what was right. He was corrupt. The story ended there. It seemed fair not to push him further. It was a big step that he had told me something about himself. I could feel satisfied with that. Dusk, if years have passed and you only just ran into each other, it means it was pure coincidence. It would be sad if he showed up again. He would just be desperate. So, You don't need to worry about that guy. You got a point there, I know. But it won't get rid of the bad taste in my mouth. You keep having that if you keep smoking. I rubbed my forehead. There was no way this guy was giving up his old habits. Let's take advantage of this free food and order something else. Dusk put out a cigarette and nodded. Yeah, plus it's too damn cold out here for my liking. I pretend to believe that excuse and not that it's because of my idea. You say that like you're buying. We both headed back to the restaurant. I felt somewhat rejuvenated from the fresh air. I could keep eating the flies that were left on the table. Dust sat down with her colleagues and included himself in the conversation. As I was about to sit down, I noticed Nightmare wasn't there. Had he already left? Hey, Killer, have you seen Nightmare? He was drinking his fifth drink. If it had been alcohol, he would have been very drunk. But he was acting the same as always, just a bit more subdued. It must have been because of the late hour. He looked up without moving his head. Maybe he already left. Sometimes he does that when the party dies down. Oh, by God's number, if you want, I can give it to you. Oh no, that won't be right. But thanks anyway. I guess I'll have to wait for another opportunity to talk to him. A few minutes later, Dusk demanded to leave, which I just nodded to, though I was distracted. We said goodbye to everyone. I couldn't pay attention. Maybe I was tired too. Despite the good moment I had with Dust, I couldn't stop thinking about Nightmare. We walked back to the vent agency. We had to get the truck to return to the cafe and finish the last few tasks. The moon was already high in the sky, and honestly, I wanted to stay and look at it a bit longer. Hey, what are you waiting for? Would it be too much to ask if I wait for you guys here? Dust stared at me, then looked up at the sky, at the same spot I was looking, the moon. It must have been related to our moment on the balcony, but instead of arguing, he shrugged and turned around. Don't jump if I honk the horn and wake you from your daydream. I'm not that absent-minded. I was alone again on the sidewalk in front of the agency. It felt quiet after several hours of loud music and a murmur of dinner in my ears. It had been hectic. We had already had similar events, but this one was the first high-end one. I felt very satisfied. But how did he feel? I couldn't ask him much. He left before we could have a proper conversation. Nightmare. I'd like to know his opinion. Hey. I jumped hearing the voice in the middle of the silence. I turned around. Night! Don't expect to see you here. Nightmare was just as well dressed as the star of the event. Didn't look like he's been to two parties in less than half a day. He walked a couple steps closer, having just come out from the building, and wanted to finish up a few things before leaving. First, I had to check the cleaning crew's work. They supposedly had an hour to clean, and they managed it, though I'm still not convinced. Why not? It's ridiculous to spend budget and... Okay, history. It's ridiculous to spend budget on a janitor service per department. It's more appropriate to have just 2 cleaning services, one for the building and one for the vent. I get it. I get it, and I don't get it. It's like, I did not press a button. It just went fast. I knew these were work-related matters to some contract I was competing for, but the rest involved context I didn't fully understand. Still, I was glad I ran into him. He gave me opportunity to say goodbye properly. I was glad to exchange a few words while we waited for dusk and the others to arrive. Sorry, work tends to consume me. You said first earlier. Did you manage the second? It's a progress. Why are you out here alone? Needed some fresh air for a bit. Same here. Need a visual and auditory break. There was a lot of noise both in the event and in the meeting. That's exactly what I was thinking. In the cafe, the indoor tables are closed to the bar, so I can hear everything. I even know some juicy gossip with squeals and everything. If you're ever interested, I could tell you about them. Nightmare smiled, though it was just a small smile. I doubt it. As long as you don't spill anything about our clients, you can gossip all you want. Deal. Remain silent for a brief moment. Guarantee someone will be our clients eventually, though. I don't want the truck to show up. I'm not sure getting in would mean breathing in dusk cigarette smoke. I was enjoying this. It was a conversation that was recharging my batteries. I needed this energy for the last few things I had to handle before getting home. Throughout the whole time, Nightmare stayed by my side. We barely looked at each other, or maybe I was just focused on the sky to notice. But at some point, I had to give him my full attention. Something in his tone demanded it. I turned my head towards him, noticing a serious expression. Yeah? Remember that thing I needed to do today? I can't imagine what that could be. It has to do with you. I felt my soul skip a beat at the unexpected words. Seriously? Is there something I missed during that event? No, actually, I forgot to say goodbye. Neymer turned completely towards me, dropping his casual stance. I didn't want to interrupt your chat, but I regretted it. I was going to head to the restaurant to see if I still had a chance to do that. I looked down, feeling a strange warmth creeping up my neck. I rubbed the back of my neck, hoping to relieve the burning sensation, but it only got worse. What were the odds that we were both thinking the same thing? I didn't think that was necessary. Though that was true, I stayed on the sidewalk, kinda hoping you would be here. He lets out a quick chuckle. Then I'll use those few words to tell you something. He steps closer, closing the distance between us. I'm interested in you. Take it as a compliment. I like your dedication to everything you do. It'd be a waste not to interact more and do so only about work. His eyes gleamed in intensity I hadn't seen before, as we finally revealed something important. I know about your bakery, even before the contest. I was the one who placed pastry orders, those made strictly by your hands. They're my only dessert. You're my only dessert. Okay. We're going with him. I haven't had the chance to visit the cafe in person, so when the bid opened up, I crossed my fingers that you'd participate, because I wanted to see you in person. So I'd like to get to know you better, only if you let me. His words hung in the air between us, heavy with the sincerity that completely disarmed me. I didn't know how to process all of this. Did Nightmare just... This couldn't be happening. Wait, he wanted to get to know me? Not the cafe, not the pastries, but me? Someone likes me? Oh, this time I thought his interest was purely professional, what my business could offer. But now he was saying he was interested in me as a person. But there must have been a reason he wanted to know me. And did I want that? Give me a reason. A reason? Yeah, why me? You must have liked my desserts before, but you're only asking for me now. Something about me must have persuaded you. What convinced you? The sound of the truck engine whirred as it pulled out of the parking lot. Henry raised the index finger to his lips, his voice dropping to something deeper. Your passion. Or at least, the one, that's one of the reasons, Cross. I'll be here all night, going for my reasons, and I can see you're running out of time. So what do you say? The truck was already leaving the parking lot. Unfortunately, time wasn't standing still. I take a deep breath, gathering my courage I didn't know I had. Your coworkers are waiting for you. You don't have to answer me. Yes. Namer's eyes widened slightly, as if he hadn't expected the answer. A drone smile began forming on my lips. I'd like to get to know you too, Knight. Let's talk sometime, yeah? Yes, take care. I waved goodbye, a proper goodbye this time. I quickly climbed into the truck before dusk could honk the horn. Since the passenger seat was taken, I headed to the back. It was a relief because I didn't want him bombarding me with questions I didn't know how to answer. I was eccentric, happy, shocked. End of demo. And that was CafeDrop. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. If you're right, comment down below and liking the video. See you guys next time.